We have the U.S. military right now saying that the children of our enemies in the Middle East will be raised by other men if they come against the soldiers of Israel and the soldiers of the United States of America. This is from General Eric Smith. He's the Marine Commandant. He stated the following in response to anyone who dares to target the Marine Expeditionary Unit that is being deployed over to Israel. This is a direct quote. For those that are in the area, so that's speaking to Hamas, that's speaking to Palestine, that's speaking to Lebanon, that's speaking to Iran, that's speaking to any enemy actor organization. For anyone in the area, if that Marine Expeditionary Unit has to go in, if you target them, someone else will raise your children. Let me tell you that right there is the direct speak of war from our military to our enemy combatant countries and our enemies on the field. Basically, we're going to kill you, they're saying, and somebody else is going to raise your little kid. So if you like your little Mary and your little Timmy, you better not raise that rifle against the Americans. So here we have them right out in the open saying this. The former Pentagon advisor, Douglas Macgregor, has said that American special forces have been taken out on the Gaza border. They're saying an ambush took place and it took our forces out, which basically means that we are directly involved in this Middle Eastern war. The Pentagon also stated that there is a high possibility that security conditions inside of the Middle East are going to, quote, severely deteriorate, especially against American interests. That means all of these shipping containers that are coming through the canal. That means all of the oil that comes through the oil-rich region. That means that your gas is going to go up. The supplies of your available products at the store are going to go down. So here's a little warning to you right now. You know, you don't want to interrupt your daily way of life, no matter what happens in the outside world. You want your kids to have everything that they're used to. So I'm telling you right now, go get a little bit of extra deodorant, go get some extra toothpaste, go get some 15-pound bags of baking soda. You're going to use the baking soda for deodorant. You're going to use it for toothpaste. You can also use it as a cleansing agent. It helps against yeast and bacterial infections, has a lot of great uses for it. Go out and get it now because it's cheap and it will become unavailable. The Russian defense minister has stated on live television that Russia has tested and will use its ability to deliver a massive retaliatory nuclear strike against Russian enemies. They launched an ICBM, according to the reports that we see. Nobody quite knows where it actually landed, though we do have some information coming in discussing what it might have been targeting. What we know is that Russia is ready to use a nuclear bomb in this war, and they're just letting the Americans know, letting the Ukrainians know, letting NATO know that, hey, we have these tools. If you want to F around and find out, here's what you're going to find out with. I had a comment yesterday from a viewer who said, Brad, what do you really expect to take place in a nuclear war? What are we really looking at here? My best case scenario is that we will have a single nuclear use, and other countries will say, we really don't want to toast this planet. We don't want to kill off a massive amount and rebuild from nothing yet, because remember, that might be in a wider agenda that we're not seeing yet. But right now, they don't want to do that. And so what I hope they do instead is watch an event take place, condemn it, of course, condemn the country that is doing it, and then cooler heads will prevail. Now, if that happens, well, we're in a whole bunch of luck, and it doesn't look like luck's on our side right now. We are having reporting outlets in the USA that the U.S. has scrambled and deployed a dozen air defense systems to countries all across the Middle East, and they're doing this ahead of the land invasion that Israel is going to use to basically burn the Gaza area to the ground. Now, Netanyahu came out yesterday and he said to all of the enemies that oppose Israel, now is your last chance. And they have to do this diplomatically, because if they don't give this widespread on public television across international airways saying, hey, you have a chance right now, let all the hostages go, let go ahead and give yourself up for arrest, and we're just going to let things clear out. It's an empty promise, and they're just saying this, and they are going to. They've already committed to it. You don't let the Americans know exactly what is happening and let us move all of our military assets to the region without being in full preparation to basically destroy this large part of Israel with Millions. There's millions of people here. A lot of them, a huge majority, innocent bystanders. That doesn't mean that we are not breeding new potential militants because of every bomb that drops. But I'm just saying, we know that this is going to be a multi-month, maybe even a multi-year war. And then if Iran gets involved, we're all screwed because Israel has been biting at the bit. You know what that means, right? We used to train horses. And so, you're training a horse and they're biting at the bit you put in their mouth. Why? Because they are just waiting. They're ready. They're so ready to go. And that's where that term comes from. The bit is that long piece that goes in the horse's mouth that you pull on when you're trying to get it to go left, get it to go right, get it to do something. The biting at the bit. Israel right now is biting at the bit to take out the Iranian nuclear infrastructure, to take out the Iranian administration, and basically to turn them back into a westernized country. So the U.S. is scrambling to send these air defense systems out. They're going to send them to Iraq, to Gulf nations. U.S. officials say that the Pentagon is sending terminal high altitude air defense systems, or THAADs, to Saudi Arabia. The surface-to-air missile systems will be sent to Kuwait, Jordan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Why we're sending them to some of these countries is a little bit questionable because we have seen, they have shown us that some of these countries are very wavering on an allied country. So what we could be doing here is, arming our future enemies. And if you look at what happened in the other countries that we have went into, that we then handed the keys to all of our armories over to the Taliban, you'd say, okay, they're okay with that. Why? Because the military-industrial complex is the thing that's going to survive World War III. The White House has ordered the Department of Defense. They've ordered them to begin preparing for the evacuation of hundreds of thousands of people. Now, they know that we are in this time right now where you are not going to make it out of this unscathed. And they know that the United States of America basically has very little choice here except to go ahead and fight this war until the very end. And if they try not to fight it, then they're already dead. So our soldiers have one last chance here, and that one last chance is to win World War III. Hundreds of thousands of American citizens, they say, will require evacuation from the Middle East as bloodshed comes to that region. So they know what's happening. They're preparing all their contingency plans, and yet they're not telling you, the prepared people of America, or ill-prepared, depending on which way you look at it, to get in gear. Get ready. Go ahead and get your food now because it's available. Get your bullets now because they're available. Get your car filled up every time it goes below a third of a 3/4 of a tank. Get your children lined up to be able to homeschool if necessary. Get prepared to evacuate when you need it. Get prepared to defend your home because we have these cells being basically activated across the USA. Are they telling you any of this? No, they're not. So we have to start to question why. It's not because they don't know it's going to happen here inside of this country. Let me give you a little bit of a recent bit of history. Israel did not tell their people that they knew they had a threat against them inside of the country, and then they allowed, some would say, these attacks to take place, which